quickly.
You said the other one was 552.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was filed.
So does that mean that we would basically strike where it says and any other filed lawsuits?
I would still
Leave
keep
it
that in there in case there's something else that pops up and we don't have to rush to get another emergency meeting.
Okay.
And so we can
That's
give that
what I
guidance.
suggested also.
And just note, just prior to coming into this meeting, received a scheduling order from Judge McGinley. It sets a deadline for service of not later than 5 o'clock today of the verified complaints, but it sounds like that has been accomplished, that the board's response, if any, is due not later than 5 p.m. tomorrow, and that it sets the hearing for Tuesday at 1 p.m.
Thursday, December 1st.
Thursday,
At
December
1 p.m.
1st at 1 p.m., allotting basically most of the afternoon.
That's prior to our meeting on Friday, and I don't want that.
It's a court order.
I'm just
Who
explaining.
said it?
I'm just explaining.
Who asked for the date to be the first?
I don't know if anybody asked.
Mhm.
I know that Judge McGinley set it for that date.
Mhm.
And so I'm just advising you of the information we received. And again, we're in a situation where, because the actions of the board were contrary to Arizona law, our office won't be providing representation. Again, ASIP won't be providing representation. So hence the need for the discussion.
So, and once I get that scheduling order, as well as the lawsuits, I will be passing that information on to each of the board members, so you have a copy of it. So that if that's the judge's order, then once again, the urgency to determine who is going to be counsel. I know, I don't know, Supervisor Judd, did you have an opportunity to speak to Attorney Mr. Blen?
I haven't yet. I'm still trying. He was, I don't know if he was in court today but he said he was busy. So I'm guessing. So I haven't received a response from him as of yet today. But I just even phoned him just now. So.
Okay.
So
So,
the last time we had a need for attorney to represent us, as anyone does that's going to court, we ask Ms. Judd, Mr. Crosby, to present people to us to make a decision. So, Mr. Crosby, I know the person that you recommended last time was not able to work with us. Have you talked with?
I haven't talked to him today, but he would be my choice. And I think if Peggy's happy with that, then that would be fine.
And who is this?
Mr. Lasota? Is that
No,
correct?
Blim.
Oh, Mr. Blen.
Mhm.
Okay.
The conflict is still there,
Which
apparently.
conflict? With Mr. Lasota?
Yes,
I haven't talked to him since I was happy with Mr. Blim.
okay.
Yeah, and I'm fairly sure he'll do it. It makes me feel funny that I can't get a hold of him, but I don't know what his schedule is, and I didn't start till 8 o'clock this morning, so I need to I just need another minute or two. Hopefully we know by the time we finish talking here.
And just so if Mr. Blem is able to represent the board, then I would just have to get an additional agreements, because those
Right.
agreements are specific to the case is assigned.
Thank you. I understand.
Well, I don't know what else we need to discuss. We need to have an attorney. We've been sued, at least by 2 people. And so we need to be covered to go to court. So in order to go to the next item, which is an action item, can we approve someone not knowing if they will serve or not, since we haven't spoken with them or made arrangements?
I think it's a pretty safe bet.
Then
If that's the direction you want to go, even without hearing from Ms. Judd, then we can move on to the action item. That's
No.
what
That's fine.
I would vote, we can use the action item. We'll just have to hopefully hear from him right away. He does have the lawsuit. he did get a hold of that. He said he was aware and he had at least the initial one by the Secretary of State already. So he did reply that when he told me he was busy and couldn't talk to me.
So, yeah, and part of the action item, then it'd be if we could just name Mr. Blum as
Right, that's
the
what I,
outside legal representative and authorize me yet again to sign any, was it legal representation or?
So it's essentially the retainer agreement. I would advise that you leave the language of other filed lawsuits naming the Board of Supervisors as defendants, just in the event that there's another suit out there that we're not aware of.
And then as long as we authorize me to sign those agreements and assign or direct Mr. Blum to be the attorney, then I think we're
well,
covered for.
if you two are happy with Mr. Blum and he agrees, then let's make a motion and make it legal, authorize you. And it doesn't say here to authorize you, and
We're gonna need that added to.
I was gonna say, don't we need to add that and authorize the county administrator to contact Mr. Blum and sign the contract?
Yes.
Can we add that if you want to make the motion, Tom, to authorize the county administrator to contact Mr. Blum?
Yeah, that's fine. The last time we worked ourselves up to item number 8 today, which was funding and so on. And that was, I believe, because of the language that we put in here last time. And that hasn't changed to my knowledge. In other words, it's still going to be privately funded. So unless we want to have that same agenda item and an issue, we need to do something, because the last time it said something like execute all necessary paperwork, which you did, assuming that it was going to be the county paying it.
Well, and as I mentioned before, if it's an attorney for the board is responsible, which any kind of fees to pay for, which would come out of the general fund. Now, and I've made aware to, I think, in prior meetings, that I don't believe that the board can accept private funding to pay for these attorneys.
What?
Well, the board has to approve and accept donations. And I've spoken with the county attorney's office that I don't think that under the board powers, the board can accept donations for a specific purpose. The other reasoning is there is another statute out there that wasn't really from the county attorney's perspective, but in my mind, could relate to it, is that money's being offered by private funding sources for election purposes, which this is directly related to an election purpose, because we're defending a lawsuit against general
Well,
counsel.
that brings in the whole issue of who is the elections director and who supervises the elections and so on. So I don't think that's settled.
Right. So, but going back to the same,
If they think
Situation.
someone else is gonna pay for it, let me ask you this. If Ms. Judd and Crosby think that someone else is gonna pay for it, could we authorize you to contact the attorney and negotiate a contract that says that it will be pro bono services?
That's not what it is. It's privately.
Well, to us, it's pro bono. You're not paying from the county. Right now, you're a member of the board.
and
When
then-
you walk outside this room, and go to your house, you're a private citizen and you can do whatever.
so pro bono services is that you wouldn't take any fee, no matter what source it is. So I can't agree to that.
Well, they won't tell us where the money came from for the first one that we had the contract for.
But this is what I can do. We can have the similar agreement. It's the agreement that was provided to by the attorney. I have to execute that agreement. If there's a bill owing that the county has to pay, then just like last time, I do have to put it on the agenda item for the board to pay for those items. if there's no bill to be paid, just like today, there's no action to be taken by the board. But now we're talking about future events that have not happened. So because it's an attorney that is representing the board,
There has to be a way so they won't be left hanging.
correct.
Okay.
And it's in there in the service agreement, even the last one, that even if we fail to do, they can go against the county assets or whatnot.
Right.
But however, just as this morning, as I contacted them, the services were provided or paid for. So then there's no board action. That's the only thing we can do at this point in time. So you can authorize me to
The
execute.
quickest
the
thing to do.
Well, you know, it stirred up all kinds of people thinking the wrong things that we had to listen to that I'd prefer not to have to.
But if this private funding doesn't come through, is not paid for, the bill is still due, it has to be paid for, and it has to be paid for by general funds.
Right.
So there's no going around that. So if that bill is paid for, there will be no
Okay.
board action.
Yeah, the reason why I mentioned last time, I was looking for the notes that I wrote about, Mr. Karwachka will fill out all necessary paperwork.
Yeah.
So, just, I guess, be more careful about the paperwork that you choose to fill out, that it's gonna be,
And I don't fill out anything. It is the agreement that is provided to me by the attorney. And so I didn't fill out anything besides sign my name. So the authority you gave me was to execute the agreement.
Right.
So that's all I do.
yeah, that's why I'm looking for the notes, that sometimes I can't even find my notes.
Right.
Well,
And I think regardless, the Valley Law Group wants to make it clear that the county is bound for some source of funds to cover their fees related to this. As to the propriety of private donations, et cetera, that I think is an issue left for a later day, because realistically, the board has been served. There's a response due tomorrow.
representation, and they need to be
The
paid.
hearings on Thursday. Yeah.
Those two things we know.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, just as it happened today, if I contact the Valley Law Group and they say there's no amount owed based on the contract that I signed and that you authorized me to sign on behalf of the board, why I cannot put an action item on the agenda. The reason why an action item was brought up was when you gave me the authority, I informed you that I would put that out there, and it came out.
I think that it'll turn out to be like you and I are discussing right now.
So I can't, so if you give me the authority to execute the
You don't
agreement.
create the agreement, you just execute the contract that's given you by the firm.
Correct.
Okay. But I still think we need to authorize that in the motion.
Yes.
However you want to state it.
Well, what else do you want to put in here besides I move we at the beginning, and somewhere put in Karwachka execute?
Authorize the county administrator to execute the necessary paperwork with the Blim
With the Valley Law Group.
Valley Law Group. And what's his name? Blim, first name?
Brian.
Brian Blim. Are you comfortable with that, Peggy?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Will execute necessary agreement?
Yes.
Okay. I think I'm ready.
All right. Then we're ready. One last time, is there anything else that we need to discuss before we go to the motion? Hearing none, go ahead.
Okay.
Tom.
I move we approve obtaining outside legal representation and authorize the county administrator to execute necessary agreement with Valley Law Group for the matter of Katie Hobbs in her official capacity as Arizona Secretary of State versus Tom Crosby and English Peggy Judd in their official capacities as members of the Cochise County Board of Supervisors in Cochise County, a political subdivision of the state of Arizona, CV 2022000553, and any other filed lawsuits naming the Board of Supervisors as defendants regarding the general election canvass.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Now is the time for any further discussion if you want to enter something into the record before I call for the vote. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Chair votes aye, and it's unanimous, and so ordered. That's the only business before the group, and I don't have the next meeting. Tim?
This Friday.
This Friday at 10 a.m.
Okay, the next meeting is Friday at 10 a.m. Meeting adjourned.